Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty at a Haggerty10 on the Twitter handle, and I'm joined today by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay, and we're going to talk all things Celtic. But first things first, Ryan. Konnichiwa. Celtic are in Japan, so I believe that means hello in Japanese. Somebody will be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, thought we'd start with that, Ryan. Wee greeting there for you.
Thank you very much. I understand you fine and clear. Unfortunately, that is where the Japanese starts and ends for me. I don't really know any other words, but every day's a school day, I guess.
That's where it ends for myself as well, but I just thought I'd get that in there anyway. But there you go. We will talk all things leather belts, Marjorie Proops, the fuzzy felts, you name it, a perm anyone from 3 any second. Just direct everybody to the strap line running along the bottom. If you want to subscribe to the Celtic Way website, we'd love you to, and you can help support top quality journalism in the process, covering the club you love. Myself, Ryan, Aidan McDonald, Duco James, Alan Morrison, Stuart Ross, Kevin McKenna try and provide that. And it's all for the click of a button. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. So there you go. Ryan, how are you? All good? Tuesday, 18th of July. Getting closer to a step up in kind of class in terms of the pre-season friendlies. Celtic take on Yokohama F Marinos tomorrow. We will preview that in due course. But looking forward to that.
Yeah, very much so. It's like Christmas Eve with regard to waiting for Celtic to come back. I need my football fix at this point in time. It's getting to the point where I'm bored. I don't know what to do. I don't. You spend so much time talking about Celtic and writing about Celtic now that you want something else to talk about. You want a performance to talk about, good or bad. Something tangible, something that you can talk about and discuss in the days ahead. So when it comes to tomorrow at about 11 o'clock, I'll be delighted to sit down and watch Celtic. It'll be quite weird watching it at 11 o'clock in the morning when it'll be 7 o'clock at night over there. It'll be a weird sort of dynamic. You're usually you're used to the time being round about the same, or maybe an hour or two different with European games, but it'll be completely different. But I'm looking forward to it. It should be it's a good step up in quality. Yokohama are halfway through their season. Some players will be familiar to the team. It's a familiar team because of the links we've got with them. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching the game.
Excellent. Now, Celtic touched down in Japan, I think, yesterday at some point, or last night, or the night before, I think, something like that. But seen various pictures from Celtic TV, and the game will be on Celtic TV.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who want to tune in, 11 o'clock in the morning kickoff, I believe, our time tomorrow. Got a special guest coming on the briefing tomorrow, haven't we, Ryan?
We certainly do. I'll let you introduce him.
No, I won't.
Oh, you keeping it?
I'll keep it
under
for now, and he can be introduced when he appears. But let's just say I'll give you a good laugh, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
So it should be good fun. That'll be tomorrow. We'll be going live prior to the game, and then probably coming on at some point after the game as well to discuss various things. But we'll certainly do the briefing as per normal at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, just before the game. Now, Brendan Rodgers has been talking. Ryan, I did a piece on the website today about possible outgoings in terms of transfers for Celtic, and I'll put it in the comment section, guys. If you haven't read it, have a wee gander at that. You'll enjoy that. It was in relation to a tweet I put out last week about Bill Shankly saying back in the 70s he was scanning and assessing players and doing that. So I kind of wrote an opinion piece on it. So there it's there in the comment section, guys, for you to read. You can have a look at that. You also did a piece as well, didn't you, Ryan? It's on the website today about the Asian market, and Celtic, you're delighted that Celtic are still continuing to scout Asian talent. So I'll put that up in the comment section as well, guys, and you can have a read at both of those pieces. There you go. And there's Ryan's there as well. So you can have a read at them. That's on the website today. Keep me supplied with your daily Celtic fixes as you want and need. Ryan needs his fix of football. It's been writing stuff as usual, but here we go. We shall endeavour to get back to the football tomorrow, Ryan. Looking forward to that Now, when Brendan was talking about players coming in and you know, everybody's waiting on this marquee signings or box office stellar signings, Ryan. And Brendan had this to say about transfers coming in. Yes, there's money there, but it doesn't always mean if you spend 9 million or 10 million, you're going to get a top player. There might be someone within your academy or someone at 2 or 3 million that can become a 20 million or 30 million pound player. My strength is development, and I've been working closely with the people here to improve the squad. Yep, the club's in a great position, but there is a model here. Coming in the second time, I'm very clear of where that is at. It's what I'm looking forward to. I can bring players in, and you want players who are first team ready, but it's seeing what the needs of the squad are and then getting the best player possible within that model, which is more or less what I've been kind of saying in that opinion piece, Ryan. That's exactly what Brendan Rodgers is doing just now, scanning, scrutinising, assessing everything, and then he'll take it from there, won't he? There will be players going out who are surplus to requirements, talking about those difficult conversations that have already started, and then he'll weigh it all up, and then Celtic will conduct their business appropriately, and they won't just run in and spend 10, 12, 14, 16 million. People are just bandying figures about at the moment, aren't they? In terms of Celtic, because there's money there. They'll do it right, they'll do it proper, because that's the way Celtic have been conducting their business in the past couple of years, Ryan.
Due diligence, that's it. At the end of the day, they'll be doing their due diligence when it comes to players, as the board did when they were appointing a manager. I like that Brendan Rodgers is taking time to assess the squad. I know you were writing that in your piece yesterday, but he was mentioning that as well. The fact that he's taking the time out to assess this squad that he's working with, because it wouldn't make sense if he sees somebody in the squad that can do the job better or as good as bringing a player in for more money, then he'll go with the player that's there. That just makes sense financially. So he's had that time. He's had the time to assess the squad, both the first couple of weeks in pre-season, then the training camp in Portugal, and now a couple of days in Japan. He'll see them in action. This will be their third game under Brendan Rodgers, so we'll have a good idea of who's going to be heavily featured in next season and who maybe needs a move away. So yeah, I think the manager has got to do his due diligence here. He's got to see who's going to make a difference, who's not, and then act accordingly. But there's no point in going out and spending 16, 17 million for the sake of it. Yes, we know that the money is there for them to spend. Brendan Rodgers has said that himself. There is money there to spend. We all know that. The London Stock Exchange announcement, the fact that Celtic were talking about significant profits, means that money is there to spend if required. But that may get spent elsewhere. I mean, you might bring in a player for a good transfer fee, but you might also give that to somebody in wages. We talk about the wage structure being moved. Celtic are now in the position where they can offer players more wages now. I think the reason why Callum McGregor got a new deal in the first place was in order to accommodate better players for more wages. And I'd be interested to see how that transpires. I mean, the Tete rumours aren't going away anytime soon. So a player like him coming in, maybe even on a free transfer, because I know his contract's in the process of getting ripped up by Shakhtar Donetsk. If you can bring somebody like him in on a good wage and maybe a good signing on fee as well, then that's every bit as good as a 12, 13 million pound signing.
Yes, and the Tete rumours aren't going away, as you say. We spoke about this yesterday. The one thing that Celtic have entering into any kind of negotiation is Brendan Rodgers, who's worked with the player before. And Brendan said in those quotes himself that his strength is improving players, working with what he has. But he's not ruled out signing players. So I think lots of people were putting two and two together and saying, he's going to come in, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. But I am, I'm still confident that the manager will do due diligence and he will sign a couple of stellar players. I just think he's weighing everything up. He's kind of at that stage now. He's kind of telling you there's just less than 3 weeks to go to start the domestic season. Celtic are a domestic treble, world record domestic treble holders. And Jota's left, Moyes left. Those are gaps that to you and I possibly need filling. I'm sure the manager's aware of that, but they don't compete in the Champions League till September. No immediate rush in terms of that, because I still think what Celtic have is good enough to compete in the domestic league up until the Champions League. But I think like everything else, everybody gets a G up with new signings, don't they? It keeps that, it keeps it evolving. You keep evolving as a club then, and I've no doubt that Celtic will do that.
Yeah, it's just that constant evolution, and you feel as if Celtic are going to go through an evolution with Brendan Rodgers as well. We talk about you always say a revolution, not an evolution, but I think the two can go hand in hand. The two can interchange. I think there'll be an evolution of the style of play under Brendan Rodgers. I don't think it'll be too. It won't be completely different to the way Postecoglou played because the players will be used to that. I think it'll just be a tweaking, a sort of fluidity, especially in the Champions League with the way the tactics are implemented. The fact that we'll have a plan B, because it very much seemed as if it was plan A and then plan A but better with Ange Postecoglou. But Brendan Rodgers, in my Celtic supporting life, has been the best manager in terms of tweaking things mid-game. You look at the example at Ibrox when Celtic were down to 10 men. Who brings on a striker at 10 men? That's something that Brendan Rodgers does, and I think that was a really a measure of the manager that we had at our disposal at that point. Yes, he went down south, but he's back now, and arguably a better manager for his experiences down south. But yeah, I think you'll see an evolution. You'll maybe see players that did feature under Postecoglou maybe not get as much of a chance under Brendan Rodgers because he's just not that type of player. I'm trying to think of specific examples, but we need a game. We need a game sort of format to gauge who is going to get a start in this team or not, because I think you'll be able to get wee hints as to what way Brendan Rodgers is going to operate by the teams that he chooses against Yokohama and Gamba Osaka respectively. But I think it's all geared towards tomorrow. We'll see what sort of team he puts out, both in the first half and the second half, and we'll get a good look at the players and see what ones are coping and what ones maybe need a move away.
Dembele's pass at Ibrox, that's what made that, Ryan. Opened
Beautiful.
up everything for your man.
What a player.
I just brought it up because you mentioned Ibrox, and he did throw on Edouard, but he threw on Edouard because he knew he could link with Dembele, and that quick one-touch pass was just sublime, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I think that Dembele and Edouard, that was we nearly had that. We didn't see them enough, the two of them. I seem to remember a pre-season friendly that Celtic played against Standard Liège, and the Standard Liège players were coming off at the end of the game. They looked visibly scared because of what they'd just faced. Edouard in that sort of free role and Dembele playing a wee bit further forward. They just didn't know what to do with them. I think Dembele rather left a couple of weeks later, but the two of them can play.
I thought you were just about to sing into the microphone there, Ryan. Didn't we almost have it all? I was waiting on that there.
I could wax lyrical about the two of them, honestly.
I was waiting, and you just the way you're about to say so. I was like, oh god, he's going to sing.
No, but I could wax lyrical about those two, but I'd say we've got a better striker up front just now, anyway. So
yeah, very much so. And yeah, I mean, those comments from Brendan Rodgers are interesting. He's just making the point that he could bring in £2 million, £3 million players who he could turn into and work with and turn them into players. Now, I've made the point about James Maddison, and I think that's what his plans are with Matt O'Reilly. I've got no doubt in my mind that, you know what I mean, he will turn Matt O'Reilly into a better footballer. And if Matt O'Reilly becomes a better footballer than he already is, he's already a baller in my opinion. But Brendan Rodgers can work the magic on him and make him better than what an asset Celtic will have at their disposal. And I think that's what Brendan Rodgers kind of sees there as well. Others as well, maybe Hatate, you can make better. Hatate, in my opinion, would have been in the running for the Player of the Year had he not get injured and missed that crucial spell just before the kind of all the awards were being handed out. I think it was a lot of Celtic supporters' personal Player of the Year. But yeah, that remains to be seen. But certainly, I can't wait to see Brendan Rodgers get his kind of managerial claws into these guys and turn them into. Nobody's ever the finished article. Some players reach the finished article status, but as I keep saying, polishing the rough edges off them and smoothing those edges and making them slicker and better. And it's very hard to make domestic treble holders slicker and better. But I guess Europe's that kind of yardstick and his benchmark now, and he wants to make them competitive in that arena. So if he can do that, then that'll be evidence of him making those guys better.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm quite interested to see what position that Matt O'Reilly and Hatate respectively play in this Celtic team. I'd be quite interested to see Matt O'Reilly maybe pushed back a space and swap with Hatate. I'd quite like to see Hatate as the furthest forward midfielder, because I think he's got the creative spark that's needed to play that role. I know he played it a couple of times under Postecoglou, and he was maybe a bit anonymous in some games, but I'd like to see him in a Brendan Rodgers system. I also think that Matt O'Reilly has the physicality, he's got the height, he's the tallest outfield player that Celtic have got.
Likes a tackle as well.
He does. He's got long legs. That's the thing. He's got this hook of a leg. He was so good in that number 6 position. But I'd like to see him in between. I'd like to see him as a central midfielder. I think he could play that sort of. You don't want to compare players, but a big imposing physical player like Matt O'Reilly, 6'2", 6'3", he could dominate midfields. He's got all the attributes in order to do so. And I just think the similarities between a player like Hatate and James Maddison. But Brendan Rodgers could make Hatate even better than what he is. It's an exciting prospect. But, it's all up in the air.
You talk about those long legs. I was at a game with my father recently. And there's now you hear some great shouts. I think somebody was shouting at Matt O'Reilly. He was jockeying some guys. Some guy said, "Come on, Matt O'Reilly, you've got the crazy legs, Crane. Use them." It's like those long extended legs. I thought, oh, that's brilliant. Crazy legs, Crane, he was calling him. So I thought, yeah, but I know what you mean with Matt O'Reilly. He's got an incredible reach in terms of his ability to hook his legs round and win the ball back in challenges. I've seen that before. I think all the Celtic supporters have seen that. So I quite like that about him, that he's got that in his locker as well. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see Hatate further forward, because when he was drafted into play in the left back role, he ran pace forward, didn't he? And he scored twice the day he was deployed at kind of inverted full back in the post, saved him from the woodwork, prevented him from getting a hat trick that day, didn't it? I believe.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and so I think Brendan has got all sorts of plans for both of these players. So it'd be interesting to see what he actually does. And that's what I'm saying. These guys we believe they're cracking footballers. Most of the supporters believe they're cracking footballers, and I think Brendan Rodgers are there looking and thought, wow, these guys are quality. I can ramp it up. I can ramp their qualities up a bit, and if he does, then yeah. But I'd still like you still want new players to come in. Gives everybody a kind of feel good factor, doesn't it? And I'm sure that will happen. Steve McGrory coming in saying Brendan Rodgers commented about the homegrown quota for Europe can only have 17 non-Scots in a squad of 25. When the 2 Koreans arrive, we'll have around 20, and maybe some of them who leave not Scots. That's a fair point made by Steve, regular contributor.
Yeah, you've just got to go with these regulations and rules that FIFA have got for players. It might mean that some players will go out the other way, but you're hoping that Brendan Rodgers is gauging the team and checking who is good enough for the squad and who's not. He'll have that in mind. There'll be people in the background, not just Brendan Rodgers, that will know about how many players they need for the European squads. They'll be well advised in that regard, I'm sure. So I'm sure that'll be under close watch to see if they have the squad that's capable of doing it in the Champions League, or a squad that's eligible for the Champions League, rather. We were just talking about Matt O'Reilly and Rio Hatate, 2 players that I'm really excited for next season. I don't think Matt O'Reilly will go anywhere. It's Hatate that's the sort of doubt in terms of wanting. I think Hatate's the jewel in this team. He's the diamond. With Matt O'Reilly, he's the rough diamond that you can mould into something that's really special. But I think Hatate's got it all. He was definitely my favourite player under Postecoglou, and I feel like if Brendan Rodgers can get a hold of him and get him to stay for a couple of years, then he'll just continue to improve, and he'll be worth more than what we would sell him for this summer. You're just hoping that he signs a contract extension and he understands that the best place for him to develop is here.
I'm still waiting for those other 2 contractual proclamations or announcements, Ryan. There's 3 down, wasn't there, according to the
I'm starting to think that was just an artistic design now.
Yeah,
rather than the 2. Yeah, unless Brendan Rodgers himself said that there was none in the pipeline just now, so it'll be a work in progress getting players. Remember, he's got to gauge players as well before offering them new deals.
Of course.
So that's not to say that he's going to watch Hatate and be like, no, you don't deserve a new contract. I think it'll be the opposite. He'll see him and be like, I get what the fuss is all about with Hatate. We need to sign him up to a big deal. But I think Hatate should be one of our highest earners at the club already. I think he's that important to the side. When he's fit, he plays. He's an automatic first pick, or at least he was under Postecoglou. And you're just hoping that Celtic can tie him down and protect their asset more than anything else, because if a team's coming in for him, they're going to have to pay big money in order to get him away from the club.
What's he got? 3 years left in his deal?
I think something like that. I'd be happy if he had 5 years left in his deal. That's the thing. You've got to protect him, and you'll get more for a player that has 5 years or 4 years left in his deal than a player that has 3.
Yep, I totally agree with that. Now we'll take some comments from people. Done Hallow LP comes in. Ange has broadened Celtic scouting, but Brendan knows the European market's better than Ange.
I think it's Mark Lawwell as well.
Yeah. Marquee coming in. Celtic won't buy them unless they're sure to make a profit on players. Patrick McLaughlin saying in the next interview, Brendan Rodgers will say he's satisfied with this squad. There you go. Stephen Kelly coming in saying Celtic could do with a European striker, someone who's done it in the Champions League, even if they pay $5 million plus for him. Been talking about that, about strikers coming in. Brendan Rodgers will cull the squad, says Don Hallow LP, for continuing domestic domination progress in Europe. He's positive today. And Patrick McLaughlin come back and saying he'd like to see Rio as a number 10 behind the two strikers. That's what you were saying, wasn't it? The furthest forward. And Diaz88's got a feeling that Rio Hatate won't be here when the window closes. And K Maxwell coming in saying what I'm saying, he has 3 years left on his current contract. But, I mean, everybody, I'm not panicking about Rio Hatate. I'm quite relaxed about it all.
Yeah, it seems as if the talk of him leaving has died down quite a bit in the last 2 or so weeks. When you're talking about Rio Hatate, you're talking about how excited you are to see him next season instead of potentially going out the door. As you know, as we all know, that's a situation that can change at any moment. Bids can come in at any time. That's just the harsh reality of the transfer window. But at this moment in time, he'll be gearing up for a pre-season friendly against Yokohama F. Marinos, a guy that probably ran rings around that team when he was playing in Japan for Kawasaki against Yokohama. So should be a welcome return for him to his homeland, and it'll be a chance to show just how much he's improved as well in Japan, or since his departure from Japan.
Yeah, Paul Mullins, Real will be magical under Rodgers. O'Reilly will hopefully become a better player. Crazy like Crane, he loves it. Yeah, indeed, I loved it as well. Indeed, that's a great shout for Matt O'Reilly. Yeah, I think Hatate will enjoy being back in his homeland. I think that was part of the thinking behind the Japanese trip, wasn't it? That these guys could go back and see their families like Kyogo and Hatate, Kobayashi, players like that. And as well, but sadly that the Korean leg of the trip's been cancelled, so hopefully O can maybe get some time to see his family members if they can make their way to Japan, or he can end up going out to Korea at some point if he gets some downtime during it. That's the hope, isn't it? Because it's important to keep these guys happy, and family keeps everybody happy, doesn't it?
I think you'll have some more familiar faces coming through the door though in the next couple of days, so he won't be too disheartened about South Korea. But it would have been great, especially with those two new players. They're looking like they're done. They're speaking in the media about how excited they are to join Celtic, which is always great. But it would have been great to parade those 3 players in South Korea. But due to the company not holding up their end of the deal due to financial difficulties or financial promises not being kept, then it can't happen, which is a shame. It's a shame for Roma, it's a shame for Wolves, and it's a shame for Celtic. But I'm just glad that Celtic have got another pre-season friendly sorted against Wolves. The two teams were both available at the same time, so why not meet in Dublin? It suits for the two of them, and it should be a good match and a good sort of spectacle for all the spectators.
Now you mentioned the two Korean players coming in, Yang and Kwon. Now you tweeted yesterday about Kwon's comments. It went a bit mental, did it not? Over 1 million people viewed it.
1.1 million views on it.
Yeah, and it's astonishing. Kwon's comments were, I received a lot of help from Busan I Park since my youth days in middle school. I will work hard to become a player that the Busan club and juniors will be proud of. I will become the best player in Celtic and go to higher places such as the German Bundesliga or the English Premier League. That's a bit of a boast there, Ryan. That's a bit of a big up to himself. Here's hoping he does become the best player at Celtic and proves his worth, and he is the real deal, and he helps Celtic to even more success. I'll enjoy him for as long as he's here, as long as he lives up to that billing. But plenty of players fancied their Barra, as they say, in the Scottish game, and it hasn't worked out that way. But I don't mind a bit of grandstanding like that, as long as you can back it up. I'll always say, Ryan, it's no saying it, it's doing it.
I think I was in with the majority that absolutely loved these comments. It seemed as if that, yes, there was a lot of people that didn't like it, but I'm the opposite opinion. I absolutely love it. I love a guy that is confident in his own ability. And, you know, we've seen a lot of this badge kissing over the years. Like, you know, all of this grandstanding thing the other way about. I like honesty. I like that a player's being honest about where he wants to be. And if he wants to be at a higher level in the next couple of years, then the only way to do that is by playing well for Celtic with his next move, and then another move will come because of that. So yeah, I don't have anything against it. I think it shows that the strategy is clear between player and club. We'll develop you for 2 years and then we'll sell you on for profit. That's fine by me. That's just where Celtic are, unfortunately, in the food chain at the moment. They have to be not a selling club, but more a development club, and then we can sell our best assets on for a profit. Because at the end of the day, we do still play in the Scottish League. This wouldn't happen if Celtic played in a higher league, but you know, you've got to be realistic about the players that we bring in. They're going to get sold on in a couple of years. If he does the business, he'll get what he wants. It's all about talking the talk and walking the walk. He can certainly do one of them. Let's see if he can do the other. But when you hear people calling him the Korean Rodri, if he's half as good as Rodri, then I'll be quite happy.
I'm all for it. I don't mind players talking themselves up. I just need them to back those words up with performances on the park. We will wait and see what he provides. So, but yeah, I mean, I like a bit of confidence. Don't like overconfidence. Don't like arrogance. It falls somewhere in between there.
I think it was quite measured, to be honest. I think he's, you know, these things, they do get lost in translation. It was just a rough translation I used. It was on the Korean website, so it's not as if it is fake quotes. It was reported in the South Korean media, so he has said something that is along the lines of that. You might get one or two words that have been translated differently, but you get the gist of what Kwon was saying. I'm happy with the comments as long as he comes in and does the business. I mean, I remember Mo Bangura saying that Celtic was a stepping stone to move to the Premier League. I don't think he made any Premier League appearances last time I checked. So it's all about walking the walk when you're at Celtic, and if you can do that, then you'll get your move, as shown by Jota as well. I know he went to Saudi Arabia. I've mentioned the J word again. I'm sorry, but he's moved on to sort of a better paycheck or maybe a better league in a couple of years' time. So it shows you that pathway is there for players. If you can do it at Celtic, then you'll get your move eventually. It just shows what you've got, basically.
Manchester Boggin MD makes a point here and says, would the Celtic fans prefer it if a Korean player was saying things like, I've always dreamt of playing at Dingwall and I had Gary Hooper posters in my bedroom growing up? Of course he wants to play in the English Premier League. I've said before, if that's your ambition and that's your aim, and you're using Celtic as a pit stop to do that, then that's fine, as long as you give your all and you help Celtic be successful and help take Celtic where they want to be, and not just see them as the kind of stepping stone FC in order to further your own needs. But in order to do that, you have to play well at Celtic, or else that'll be your benchmark. You mentioned Mo Bangura there, who ended up back in Sweden, didn't he? He
played against Celtic as well for Elfsborg.
You know, so lots of players have talked that talk. but failed to walk the walk. So if he wants to play in the English Premier League or the German Bundesliga, then he's going to have to earn it. And then the next port of call is Celtic. And if he earns a move like that from playing well at Celtic, then that's exactly what will have happened. He'll have helped Celtic be a success. I give you Virgil van Dijk, who never tires of bigging up Celtic and saying that was crucial to his development, to making him the player that he was when he ended up going to Southampton and then to Liverpool, and then for a spell was cast in the role as the best defender in the world. But you ask Virgil van Dijk the most important part in that career trajectory, and he'll always say it was playing at Celtic, playing with that pressure of having to win every week, and just and furthering his game, bettering his game, and becoming a better player. So yeah, I'm all for players having ambition. I don't. It's a short career, as they say. A lot of them are in it to make money, but a lot of them are in it to become a better player. And if you want to become a better player, then I think, and as I've said this many times before, Celtic's a great place to be at this moment in time. They're an attractive proposition. They've got an ambitious manager. We want that matched with an ambitious staff of players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. It's becoming a bit of a cliche on this morning briefing, but he is an elite level manager. He's ambitious, and he's elite in the way that he operates. That's why he did such a good job down south at Leicester. Players will gravitate towards that. Players will see that, this guy was the Liverpool manager and the Leicester manager. Look at his trophy cabinet. Look at how many trophies he won at Celtic, and the trophies that he won at Leicester as well, considering their standpoint in English football, where they're just outside the top six. It's so difficult to break into that, but for a couple of years, Leicester were sort of considered an extension of the top six due to having Brendan Rodgers in charge. Players will gravitate to a manager that has that sort of reputation, and that the reputation and the sort of clout that he brings. So working under him is an attractive prospect, and these players will know that they will improve under the manager, and they will hope that in a couple of years, if they improve, then they can make that next step down south, because that's what happened with the manager as well. He did a great job. I know he worked previously at Liverpool, but he sort of worked his ticket for the 2.5 years, then went down to Leicester and did a good job. But the same can happen for players as long as Celtic make a healthy profit at the end of it. It shows that the system and the strategy is working, and it's a well-oiled machine. And I'm just glad in general. I made the point yesterday in my article that's went out this morning. I'm glad that Celtic aren't abandoning the Asian market just because Ange Postecoglou's left. It shows that there is continuity, and it shows that it was good to bring in Mark Lawwell, because he's continuing that scouting process of looking for the best players in Japan. We have an in now for these Japan teams because we've worked with them all before, or we've worked with 3 or 4 of them with regard to transfers. Now Celtic can use that to their advantage and sort of find the best players. Japan will be sick of Celtic by the time because we're taking all the best players, but in turn, we're probably developing them for their national team as well. They're playing in the Champions League, which can only make it better for Japan's international prospects. And they're very much they're a developing team. Japan, you look at the results they got in the World Cup last year. Yeah. I think Japan are one of the teams that are here to stay due to their technicality and their hard working. The technicality and the hard-working mentality. It'll be interesting to see how they do over the next few years as these young players start to go into the prime and peak of their career, and hopefully some of them make the journey over to Celtic in order to make that jump in quality even sooner.
Xander Shore comes in, he says players do see Celtic as a stepping stone because they know they'll be noticed with good games in the Champions League and also with winning trebles. Those players make Celtic money, improve Celtic squad, and he's happy with that. I guess it's where Celtic are in the kind of football food chain at this minute, Ryan, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're not Manchester City, who are the head of the City Group, Celtic are one of those de facto members of the City Group. It's not in writing, but we seem to be getting a lot of City Group players for a team that isn't involved with the City Group. Count how many times you can say City Group in the one sentence there. I think I managed about 5 or 6, it felt like.
Quite impressive.
Unless you're well, to be fair, even teams like Barcelona and Bayern Munich and Real Madrid are struggling to get some players through the door. if you're not an English Premier League team, the Premier League is now the apex sort of predator of the food chain. And if you're not in that league, then you always run the risk of losing your players to that league if a good offer comes through the door. Look at the prices that teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, Man United, Liverpool as well to an extent, how much they can offer in terms of players. You can't compete with that, so you've just got to get as much money as you can when these players do come, when these teams do come calling for your players. If you can get the optimum amount, then slowly but surely you start to maybe not catch up, but be able to compete with them on the European level when you beat them in one-off games. Because if you get better fees for players and you can bring better quality players in, and then you can stack up against these teams a wee bit better. But Celtic have just got to be comfortable with where they are. It seems like they are. It seems that they know where the strategy's working and where they need to operate in order to make good profits. As long as that doesn't affect the league form and winning the league every season, then I have no problems with it. If it's a well-oiled machine, then it's all good with me personally.
EGAC Tech says getting in the higher quality signings takes time, and Celtic do have it. Celtic will probably use the entire duration of the window to add to the quality. That's what we are looking at it as well. I couldn't agree more. And Michael Ross says, asked this question last week, if Celtic don't bring in proven quality players within the next week, will you start to be concerned? Why is the countdown clock on Celtic here? I don't understand why it has to be.
We're not playing Champions League qualifiers. That's the thing. It's just there's no. I think a lot of people are in the mentality, or they've got the mentality that we've got Champions League qualifiers when. Yes, the league campaign starts in 3 weeks, but you would expect the team that we had last season plus 4 incomes to beat a team like Ross County. That's just, let's be realistic. The Celtic have still got a strong team. We've only really lost Jota and Moy out of last season. Jota's a massive miss, but we do have wingers on that left-hand side that could come in and do a job. I've got no doubt that we'll be scouting for a replacement for those numbers because, as I've said before in the briefing, Jota brought goals and assists, double digits every season that he was here, for the 2 seasons he was here. So we need to replace them somewhere in a left winger. But I've got no doubt that Celtic will be scouting for players. There's no rush. I would much rather Celtic take their time and bring the right people in than be hasty and bring in somebody that doesn't fit with the team just for the sake of it.
Couldn't agree more. And that's one commodity that Celtic very rarely have had in previous years. They've got time, and I for a minute I don't think that the manager is all over this. And these updates, constant need for updates are getting a bit tiresome. Celtic will do business if and when they choose to do business, because I think that's what they're doing. They're going for quality over quantity, and these things take time. So it's I'm still fairly relaxed about it all. Even if nobody comes in by next week, I'll still be fairly relaxed about it all. So I just trust the people who are in charge of the club are doing the best job possible for the club, and new players will come in.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the transfer window. Teams are still trying to figure out who their best players are and maybe not who their best players are, players that are going to contribute in the next season and players that maybe won't. So, and Celtic are the same. Celtic have only played 2 games in pre-season, both behind closed doors. No fans have really been able to see, bar the 4-minute highlight package that came out on Celtic TV. We've not been able to gauge how this Brendan Rodgers side plays. And Brendan Rodgers will still be working it out as well, what players are going to contribute and what players maybe need to go out on loan or leave the club permanently. But I've got no doubt that there is a work going on in the background to bring in new players that fit. There's no point in being hasty. You might as well bring in the players that are going to fit in over the course of a season and make profit for Celtic in the next couple of years. You can't just abandon the strategy halfway through. We need to keep it going. Thing is, we just need to be patient. It's this need for constant information. Celtic will announce those 2 players in the next few days, and then all of a sudden we've got 4 players in rather than 2, 5 if you count Iwata, who we knew was coming in the door anyway. All of a sudden, four players in an already strong side sounds good on paper. It's just the fact that Celtic have lost Jota and Moy's output as well that have people concerned. But I have no doubt that they'll be making moves to improve on those positions that we've lost players in.
Pete McGee hitting the airplane panic mode button. Relax, Tony. We currently have about 50% of a defence. Very aware of that, Pete. I'm sure the manager's very aware of that, and he's all over that. And the next couple of friendlies will give you an indication of where his head's at in terms of the Ross County game. I leave that to a man who knows more than me, Mr. Brendan Rodgers, about football and team selections. So we shall watch with interest. Something else that's been gathering interest, Ryan, can't avoid it. The third kit, this green number, I'm going to call it a monstrosity because I don't like it. You're loving it, aren't you? I cannot for the life of me fathom it out what's going on with Adidas and the Celtic kit at the minute, but not for me. I'm a traditionalist, but hey, there's not many of us left. But what are they doing with the third kit? What's going on?
3 out of 3 this summer, I think, in terms of tops that I actually like. And I didn't originally like the home top, but it's growing on me slowly but surely. I think it's different. I think all across Europe, that third kit, if you were to stick an Ajax badge on that, people would be heralding it and lauding it for saying this is different and it's modern and it's unique. I like it. I'll be honest. I do like it. But then again, look at what I'm wearing. I like that out there stuff. So I think
garish, is that the word? Honestly, I'll go with Robert Gibson on this one. Boggin, honking, minging, ad infinitum, any word that you can think of. Yeah, I'm with Robert on this one. But again, maybe I'm just an old man, Ryan. Yeah.
It's it's always going to divide opinion, and I think just let Matt O'Reilly model it, and then let's see what it looks like. Because to be fair, I think he could make a bin bag look good. To be fair to him, but I think it'll grow on people. These tops, I think everybody has a collective groan when the tops go out. But once you see it in action, you might only see it happen in action once or twice because it's a third kit, maybe a couple of times in Europe as well, depending on who we draw in the Champions League or Europa League if we get that far. We'll see how it is. It might look better on TV, but I do like it. I've got to be honest. I feel like I'm in the very, very vocal minority, but I do actually quite like it.
You're not, Danny boy. I was like you, Tony, till he saw his granddaughter wearing it. She looked fabulous. Okay, maybe it's a grower, but not on me. But third kit nice is CJ7. So you're not in the.
I can't.
Pete McGee, third kit is okay, as is a black kit, but the home kit, don't talk about the home kit, Pete. Stephen Kelly, Manky.
That'll be a cult classic. The home kit will be a cult classic. I'm calling it just now.
Jerry O'Rourke, stop mucking about with those strips. Yep. I'm at that kind of, Father Ted down with this sort of thing with the banners and all that. I'm just short of that. With my complaints to Adidas, but it's one of those that will divide opinion.
They've got to. This is the thing. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. Because if they bring out a top that looks too similar to the one before, people will be like, "Why did they bring out a new top?" So they went the complete other way. It's daring. It is a very daring design. The black as well. The black sort of piping.
Quite like the black ones.
So do I. I would have really liked to have seen that on like a normal Celtic top. There was a kit that Juventus brought out. I think it may have actually been this season, and they had yellow piping but fuzzy sort of stripes. If Celtic had maybe tried that, I don't know if it would have had a better sort of reception, but. Again, I think it'll grow on people. Do you know, if Celtic start winning in it, then it'll become a cult classic for the right reason.
I don't really care about the strip. As long as the players that are in it are a winning machine, then that's fine. I'll put up with it. Patrick McLaughlin, my baby, this at me, the Celtic Dazzler and Meltdown. I'm not in Meltdown, I just don't like it. That's fair enough. You either like strips, kits, or whatever you want to call them, or you don't, and I don't, so that's fine. Kevin Mullen, kit will start looking better when we're winning on them. Yep, I agree with that. CG7, the home kit's grown on them, looks good on the players. There you go.
I think it does. Yeah, I think it looked really good in that highlight video. I'll be honest.
Natalie McMullen, third kit, beautiful. She's with you, Ryan. So there you go.
I mean, but I think we can all collectively agree that away kit's one of the nicest away kits we've had in years. I think it's an absolute stunner. I got my dad it for Father's Day, and I'm really jealous of him. I think I might need to get it myself. But I really like that away kit. But I like the third kit as well, and the home kit's grown on me. So I guess Adidas are working their magic on a young pup like me.
I like Martin T's thoughts. 6 strip will be a cracker. I like that. And Stephen Kelly coming in saying, when's next season strip out? Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Divides opinion, guys. You either like it, you don't. Marmite, I guess, isn't it, in terms of Celtic stuff? Yep. Black one, any day. Home one, not so sure. The third kit, I'm not buying what they're selling. Let's put it that way. But hey, it is what it is, isn't it? If that means I'm not exactly in having a meltdown over it, just giving my tuppence worth for what it is worth, Ryan. Yeah.
I don't mind as long as they're winning in it. Because, that 2020-21 season, that was one of the nicest home kits I think I've ever seen. Adidas' first number, and it'll be cursed now for the rest of history because of the season that it was worn in. It's good that the black kit in that season managed to get an out in at Easter Road a couple of times where we got a couple of victories. So it was in Postecoglou's first season, so it does have a sort of nice ending. But that home kit will be forever remembered for being the season during the COVID lockdown season, and that's still bad. I know it's the one we shall not be, the Voldemort season, the season that shall not be named.
Indeed. Before we go, I mentioned this yesterday, but lots of people still commenting on it. Jerry O'Rourke, latest lump in his throat time watching the 7 moments yesterday. Tony, thank you, Jerry. Say to everybody who's commented on the YouTube video underneath it, commented in here, got in touch via Twitter, Facebook, and even privately DM me. It's the most humbling thing ever. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Myself and Ryan enjoyed it, and it's the videos, the 7 Celtic moments that made me. It's on the YouTube, guys. It is long. It's an hour and 48 minutes, and if you want to put yourself through it, then I hope you enjoy it. But lots of feedback from it, Ryan, that that's what's been happening. So yeah, very humbled by that, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It's even made the forums as well. On a particular Celtic forum, I heard somebody was speaking about it last night as well. So it's good that it's went quite far on the sort of Celtic sphere.
Speaking about it in a good way, I hope, Ryan.
Yes, absolutely. He says it was a really good listen, the person that was commenting in the forum.
Cool.
It's well worth a watch, and so is the squad depth video as well with Hugh and Aidan. They're both available on the site. So if you just go into the video tab, you'll be able to watch them both. And if you subscribe and put on the notification bell, then you'll get updated on when we do more videos, because I don't think they'll be the last videos that we do with regards to pre-recorded as well.
Certainly not. We'll be looking to do more of them. Gone viral, Tony says, Marquis.
For the right reasons.
Yes, I will. There you go. Ryan can keep me in touch with what that actually means. But there you go. Chris Murray saying, great watch, Tony. Thank you. As I say, it's been very humbling. Lots of people being in touch about it. And it's, if you want to go on and watch it, it's on the YouTube channel. It's a long one, but strap yourself in. And just hankies, Ryan, ready? You might need them.
Yeah, somebody was saying they actually watched an hour and 40 minutes over Wimbledon on Sunday, and that's quite big. I don't know if you caught the Wimbledon the final on Sunday, but that was about 5 hours long. So they must have missed a good a good chunk of that final. But that's big praise that they've chosen our video over a big event like that. So thank you very much.
Would that be advantage Haggerty then? We would say
I like it.
Yeah. Maybe so. But yeah, thank you. It's all available on the YouTube channel. You can go and watch that. Ryan, we're getting a football fix tomorrow. First things first, 10 o'clock special guest. You'll get a good laugh with him. I'll narrow it down. And we're going to enjoy that, the preview, and talk about some other stuff as well. So there you go. James Floyd saying the video was class. Thank you, James. Really appreciate that. And yes, we will be back tomorrow definitely 10 o'clock, because I think everybody wants to boost to go and watch the Celtic game against Yokohama F. Marinos at 11 o'clock. We'll do our thing, and then we'll maybe come back on in the afternoon and dissect it and talk about it, Ryan. We'll see how that goes, see how it all goes work-wise. But listen, thank you so much for your comments again today. We try and read as many out as we can. We all love talking about Celtic, don't we? The rip-roaring, free-scoring, never boring Celtic, Ryan. It's always something to talk about, even on days when we think it's going to be quiet. It's never quiet. But we shall return tomorrow. Looking forward to a football fix, Ryan, and seeing what team Brendan puts out.
Absolutely, yeah. It's first team sheet. We'll see. I don't think there was a team sheet that came out for the Portimonense game. You were just kind of, because I just got an update for the goal, and I never seen that they were saying it was kickoff. So when I seen that there was a goal, I was like, what's going on here? Are we live tweeting this? So hopefully we get a full team line tomorrow, and it'll be back to business, albeit in a friendly capacity, but business as usual.
Back to the old routine. Can't wait for that. Guys, take care. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you for a wonderful Wednesday, hopefully. And just before you go, if you enjoyed today, then why not take out a subscription to the Celtic Way? That gives you unlimited access to everything that appears on the website. If you subscribe to it, you can help support top quality journalism in the process. And it's all for the click of a button. And that button, as you all know by now, is www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Take care, Ryan. Stellar contribution once more, young man. Love it. Enjoy it very much. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.
Cheers, guys.